Sasha, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for joining us. I know you're in Berlin right about now, and I figured I'd ask you some questions and do kind of like a quick sort of throwback to Tokyo 2020. Are you ready for some questions?
Yeah, yes, I am. Shoot.
Awesome. First question I have for you is in terms of coaching lessons from 2020. If there was one major coaching lesson you learned at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics and the years leading up to it, what would it be?
Wow, that is a good question. I mean, as you know, leading up to 2020 Tokyo Games, it was a very strange, strange pathway, right? With COVID and everything. Um, I think the biggest lesson is you have to be adaptable. And that's one of the things that we did great as a team. We were able to adapt leading up to the games. Um, to ensure that their athletes were ready and prepared as best as they can. And I think after that, I learned that nothing's perfect, no path or no preparation is perfect. You have to be ready to adapt in order to get the best or give the best for your athletes.
Now, in terms of memorable moments for you, looking back at those games, what was the most memorable moment for you and why as a coach?
Oh, I think, wow, most memorable moment must be Catherine Boschman-Pinard winning the bronze medal. She was one of the athletes I worked personally close with, and also happened to be one of the first female medals for Judo Canada in history. Of course, before that, the day before, it was Jessica Klimkate. Again, a memorable moment. Um, I mean, it was just such a great experience for the all of Team Canada. We did the best we ever did in the history of Judo Canada at the Olympic Games. So as a whole, I was super happy and I appreciate being able to be such a part of an experience. But if I had to choose one moment, yes, of course, I had to be Catherine Boschman-Pinard winning the bronze medal at the Tokyo Olympics.
For those who may not remember, I'm sure everyone who's listening will remember that moment. Can you paint that picture exactly how she won for us?
Yes, I mean, I don't want to just paint a picture for that one moment. Yeah, something you have to understand is that Catherine Beauchemin-Bernard went through a lot of hurdles leading up to those games. She was 57 kilograms at the start of the quad, and then she made a hard decision to move up to 63. And I believe that many people didn't just consider her to be a medal contender anymore after she moved up. But working together, we proved a lot of people wrong, and especially her character and her attitude, her hardworking, uh, just as a hardworking person in general. She managed to climb on in the top 10 ranking very quickly after she moved up, and then leading into the games, I think she wasn't considered to be a medal contender. So we looked at the draw at the beginning of the games, and it was a good draw. I believe that she had a draw to medal, but again, it's the Olympic Games, you never know. So, we took it one match at a time, and next thing you know, she's in the semifinal. She had a very close battle against Clarisse Sabignou, obviously very one of the best 63 kilogram players in the history of judo. And then for the bronze medal match, she had a Venezuelan judoka that she knows very well, and we made a game plan. And it was a tough match. It wasn't easy. It was nail biting. It went into golden score, and we just had one plan. And I kept reminding Catherine. I told her just stick to the plan, stick to the plan. That was one of our cues that we used, or I used as a coach. And she did. I mean, one of the plans was you gotta get the sleeve. You gotta get the sleeve because she was a tall righty, and Catherine normally has difficulty with players that are taller than her because they would come down the back and make her uncomfortable. So in golden score, I just kept reminding her of the plan, and next thing she throws it for Wazari, and we're both on our feet and celebrating, and that was just definitely a special moment. So
Thank you very much for that, and I'm glad you just didn't paint the picture, but you provided that very important context. Now, if I could follow up and ask you, as a coach, what's it like coaching someone like her? Can you give us a bit more about her from your perspective as a coach in terms of?
Yeah, I mean, so in 2016 or 2015, I should say, sorry, I transitioned into from being a junior coach to the senior women's coach. And that was the first time I started working with Catherine. And before that, I mean, I knew who she was. Obviously, she was training at the center and she was a hardworking individual. She was one of the best or top contenders in the under 57 kilogram category. And yeah, I mean, when I started when I started working with her, the funny thing was that not many people know actually she didn't speak so much English and I didn't speak so much French. So we had to make it work. And again, Catherine being such a hardworking individual, she, buckled down. She learned to speak English, and I started to speak French. But obviously, her English got better than my French, and we created a great bond, a great relationship. She was easy to coach. She was very coachable from the get-go, and I just enjoyed working with her because she was, like I said, she was coachable. She trusted the training process, and that's one of the key things that as a coach, you want the players to trust the training process, to trust the overall process at the training center, to trust the coaches. And yeah, I mean, she had a tough time in eventually in the under 57 kilogram category making weight. It took some time to convince her to move up, and she did. And then from there on, I mean, like I said, to me, doesn't matter which category you're in. If you're a hardworking athlete, you're going to be successful in whichever category you choose to be in, and that's what she proved, right? And within a few years, she was ranked top 8 in the IGF world ranking, and next thing you know, she's on that podium at the Olympic Games. So.
Yeah, it was certainly an incredible moment. And I want to go back, I guess later on, we're going to talk about that buy-in that you speak of in terms of trusting the process, because I believe it's like an ongoing theme that you're trying to hammer. I went back to some of your previous interviews. I want to know, in terms of handling Olympic pressure from the perspective, obviously there's a lot of pressure on the athletes, the biggest pressure, but I would imagine there's some on the coaches as well. The whole world is watching this, of course. So in terms of how do you manage both your own expectation and those of your athletes in such a high stake environment as the Olympics? Like how do you handle that?
Well, first of all, you gotta be confident that you've done everything you can. You go to the Olympic Games knowing that you did everything you can as a coach, and you're hoping that the athlete did everything they can. It's yeah, I mean, you can't second guess. You have to be comfortable and confident in what you did and all the buildup you did with the athletes. And it's not easy. I mean, anything can happen at the Olympic Games. Even if, like, I try to explain to some people and some athletes that no matter what, you can have the best training possible, the best preparation, but at the end, it can all end within a few seconds on the mat. As you know, that's the funny thing about judo. And you have to reassure the athletes that they've done the best they could, and they did the best preparation. Now it's all up to them, right? It's all about being confident and believing in themselves on the mats and giving everything, right? This is one of the things I always say is, like, no matter what happens on the mats, you have to be proud of yourself as long as knowing that you did everything and you left everything on the mats. Because if you come off the mats knowing that you could have done a little bit more, that's where it hurts, right? And so yeah, so just believing in the process and believing that the preparation leading up to the games, and believing in yourself on that day. So that's, I think, one of the best ways to just handle all that pressure.
Now, you competed in Beijing and in London, and was Tokyo your first ever in terms of as the role of a coach? Was that your first time ever coaching at the Olympics?
No, actually, it was 2016. Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay,
was
okay.
2016. Yeah, 2016 was my first experience as a coach. Yeah.
How was that like coaching at the Olympics? I mean, it's paint that picture. Here I go again with the paint the picture. But in terms of because it's such high stakes environment, it feels like the whole world is watching and they clearly are. As a coach, do you feel an additional level of pressure?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it kind of everybody's looking at you, right? I mean, the success of the athlete, the failure of the athlete, or the team, I guess I would say, it's always going to come back to the coach, right? It's going to be, oh, did they prepare well? Did they prepare the athletes well, I should say. So yeah, there's you know, sitting there in the chair, well, that was my first time at the Olympic Games. And I I guess I want to say it was more of an experience for me. It was a learning experience for me. I didn't have much experience as a senior coach, so I didn't know what to expect. I know we had a good team. Um, I don't know how much impact I had on on the team, I guess I should say. But from there on, leading into the Tokyo Games, it was a whole different story, right? I had time, I guess I should say. I had more time to prepare the team and to prepare with the individuals that I was in charge with. And then I was way more confident going into the Tokyo Games than I was in the 2016 Olympics as a coach. So a completely different experience, yeah, for sure,
Now,
compared to the Tokyo Olympic Games and the Rio Olympic Games.
if you were to write a memoir about your experience coaching at Tokyo 2020, what would the title be and why? And
Oh, yeah,
I
I don't
ask
know
this
that you put
because
me on a,
I sorry, I know it's a very kind of random question, but it's the
yeah.
Tokyo 2020 Olympics were very unique for a variety of obvious reasons. Obviously, COVID, being the big elephant in the
Hmm.
room. So I'm sure for all parties involved, it was it was a
Hmm.
challenge and it was very unique. But if you were to write a memoir, just one memoir on the whole lead up to the big Olympics,
Hmm.
what would it be? What's the title to this memoir?
Uh, it's It
Sorry.
would be hard to choose a title. No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the title would be, but man, it would be a definitely a unique memoir. I mean, as you say, again, I'll say it again. It was such a roller coaster of an experience, emotional experience. I mean, I wasn't just a coach. I was a psychologist at that time as well, because the athletes, you're watching these athletes prepare for 4 years and all of a sudden they get hit by the Olympics are postponed, right? And there's just so much uncertainty and will they even happen, right? And then you're trying to be the rock in this whole thing, right? You're trying to hold everybody together, calm, make sure everybody's calm, guarantee that everything's going to be okay. But in the back of your head, you don't know yourself, right? So you're trying to hold this whole team together. And then at the same time, judo is a unique sport where we cannot train on our own. We need training partners, but then they're telling you cannot train together. So this is where I talked about the whole adaptability process, where we had to get so creative in our ways on how to train in order to make sure that these athletes were prepared, that these athletes were going into the games confident, right? That they were ready, that they didn't miss out on anything. So yeah, I can't give you one title. I'd have to, maybe one day come back to you with that. But those are just some of the moments that we experienced, right? Not training together in just small groups, athletes complaining, athletes just unhappy. And as a coach, I'm sitting there being like, okay, if I'm unhappy and if I'm, negative, then the whole team is gonna just break apart, right? So like you talked about pressure, there was a lot of pressure. I put a lot of pressure on myself that I have to hold this team together and make sure that, you know, they're going to be okay and that we're going to be ready to perform at the games. So,
It's always interesting to hear the coach's perspective because they wear so many hats. They're not just ex subject matter experts in one sport. They as you mentioned, there's psychologists, almost border like social workers, psychologists, therapists, and motivators, and all these other things. And obviously, all sports were dramatically impacted by this disruption that was
Yeah.
COVID-19, and across the board, it was the elephant in the room. But I'm going to transition now, and we're going to talk about the coaches, the Judo Canada coaches in Paris right now. What can you tell us about the Judo Canada coaches currently in Paris with the team? And can you share any of their thoughts or your thoughts overall on the current squad of judokas representing Canada at Paris 2024?
Mhm. Well, you have some of the best coaches right now with the team. I mean, obviously you have Antoine Balba Fortier, who was Olympic and world medalist himself, and he's fresh out of the I say fresh, maybe not as fresh anymore, but he's one of the newest coaches and with some of the newest training methods and most recent athletic experience on the coaching staff. Then you have Janusz Pawlowski, who's a veteran coach, coached other countries throughout his coaching career, and not a former coach, sorry, a coach, Jessica Klimkate, who's a world champion and many times a world Olympic medalist. Lots of experience, and then of course you have one of the leaders, Nicholas Gill, who's there. You know, one of the best athletes that Judo Canada has produced, and he's there as well. So when it comes to coaching, there's no doubt about it that the squad is in good hands. And when it comes to the team itself, I mean, like as you said, there's individuals there that are coming from Tokyo with lots of experience. They're hungry. They want to medal. Some of them were medalists. Some of them were close to being medalists. So when I say close to being medalists, of course, we have Shadi El Nahas and Arthur Margelidon that are hungry and they want to be on the podium this time. And they were close to winning medals at the previous Olympics. And then you have Catherine Beauchemin-Pinard, one of the veterans, right? A former Olympic medalist. And now you have Krista Deguchi, their two-time world champion. This is her first Olympic Games. So the whole team, I mean, just to mention a few, and there's many more on that squad, that I just have so much world and Olympic experience, right? And not just experience, but either medals, world championship medals, or we're close to being medalists. So I think they're one of the best teams we've ever had. And honestly, I'm very confident in this team, and I'm confident that we'll, come away with multiple medals from these games again. So super happy with the team that we have right now.
Absolutely. You're currently in Berlin now for it's happening this weekend for the Berlin Junior European Cup 2024. There's, I believe, 12 Canadian competitors, including you've got Antoine Bouchard, who's also coaching alongside with you. Question in terms of instilling trust in the process, right? My question is, how do you instill trust in the process and journeys for these young athletes, especially when things aren't going their way? And then I have a follow-up on that. I'm curious to know a bit more about communicating, trusting the process.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, judo, how can I say, it's an individual sport, but obviously we train as a team, and everybody's selfish in their own ways, right? So everybody wants to do something different. Everybody wants to be different, but there's a general path that everybody has to follow to success. And like you talked about the coaching staff, we have some of the best coaching staff, not just at the Olympics right now, but in general in Judo Canada, and we all want the best for our athletes. And one thing that we have to remind the athletes that success doesn't come at once, right? It's a process, and judo is not a straight line to the top, right? It's up and down, up and down. But if you keep questioning what we're doing, or keep questioning as what the training is like, then I don't believe that you'll ever succeed. You have to just buckle down. You have to work hard. You have to just train hard, understand that what you do is not easy, and that if you train hard, and that at the end it will pay off.
And some of the perfect examples are like some of the athletes we have on the team, such as Jessica Klimkate, Catherine Beauchamp-Pinard, and some Francois Gauthier-Drapeau, and Arthur Margelindon, and Shadi El Nahas. I mean, those are just examples of individuals that trust the process and are some of the reasons why they're successful. So, like I said, this is what I was taught as well, that the road to success is not a straight line, right? It's a lot of ups and downs, and sometimes those downs are hard, but you have to pick yourself back up and keep pushing forward. So those are some of the things we just try to remind the athletes to, as they're especially at this stage right now, like on the junior level. A lot of them want success fast. They want success fast, but we're one thing also is people don't understand we're a federation that's not so strong in judo, right? We're always behind. So a lot of our athletes could potentially peak a little bit later, and I know it's not easy, but we often have to remind them to be patient and to keep looking forward to what's in the future.
In terms of communicating to this younger audience, obviously they're juniors and they have ambition, they want to win and so on. Is it challenging to communicate to a younger audience or a younger group of athletes, I should say, as a coach, do you find?
Yeah, it is. I mean, to me, I say, I call them kids, right? I mean, they're 17, 18, 19 years old. And they still, they're still quite, some of them are not mature enough yet, right? So it's a lot more difficult, but like you said, this is the moment where this is the kind of critical moment where you have to instill trust and build good relationship with these athletes. So as the years go by, and you keep building that trust, you keep strengthening that relationship, then the path gets a lot easier. And I mean, every athlete went through that, even the ones that are on the Olympic team right now.
Right, and we see these success stories as far as these athletes on the Olympic team and their trajectories, as you mentioned. There's ups and downs and going around the corner, and you know what I mean, zigzags. It's the way it is, and I'm wondering how much influence and motivation do these juniors get from seeing these seniors succeed in competition? Do you see? Is there a correlation you can draw from that?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of motivation. I mean, they train together, right? They're on the mats together, and that's something that we use as coaches. That's one of our tools. It's good when the junior team can train with the senior team, especially the successful senior team that we have right now, because when we try to convince them, and we talk about this, the process and trusting the process, we can always reflect on the seniors, right? We can always use the seniors as an example. So it's great to have them training together, because they're a great tool to use for our junior athletes right now. Something that they can look up to. They can use them as examples, as training examples, and hopefully that that motivates them.
Just a quick follow-up in regards to the 12 Canadian competitors that are there. Is there anyone, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so you don't have to answer this, but is there anyone you want to highlight in particular, one or two players on the team that we should be looking out for?
Well, I think we have a good team right now. A lot of youngsters that some have more experience than other, for sure. Like John Jr., who's been medaling consistently on the junior tour. You have Evelyn Beaton, you have Heidi Kwa, just to name a few. And I don't want to just point those out, but those are just a few athletes. Marilyn Turmel that have been medaling consistently or fighting for medals consistently in the past year. But the others, I want to say, is they're not far off. They just lack the experience, but I'm super confident in them. And for some, I expect on this tour, I expect some of those top ones to perform, and some of the others, I just want them to go in there, fight hard, leave everything on the mat, and potentially win some matches. Because at the end, for us, as I was talking to Anton Bouchard, the training camp here is the most important thing right now, and Junior Worlds, a preparation at the end of Junior Worlds in October. So this is where we want them to stand out and to peak in.
These are certainly pivotal years for juniors. Now, the LA 2028 opening ceremony, I calculated, is 207 weeks away. And I'm going to assume that some of these juniors are probably dreaming of their first Olympic Games. Question for you is, how pivotal are junior level competitions like the Berlin Cup for these athletes? You mentioned the training camp obviously is key.
Yeah.
They're right in the heart of Europe, in Berlin, Germany. Everybody's there. I think there's like over 500 athletes there. 45 countries.
Well, Berlin has always been known as one of the top junior events on the tour. Even when I was competing here, it's funny. I'm actually sitting here in the hotel room, and it's the same hotel, same venue when I used to compete back in the last time I competed here.
Is it the same room? Sorry to interrupt. The same room too?
Sorry, not same room. Just same hotel. I want to say, yeah.
Okay.
Last time I competed here in 2003 or 4, I believe.
Wow.
So it's funny, but we look at the competitors and we look at the level of competition. We say, okay, this is kind of one of the benchmarks for being successful on the junior stage and on the junior world level competition, right? I mean, this is where we get to see how our athletes compare to the other athletes in the world, and this is a good level, good competition to compare in. And I mean, if they do well here, we as coaches, have the confidence that they could potentially do well at the junior worlds. So this is kind of like a test event for some of them, because most of the athletes here are qualified for the junior worlds already. I think I want to say about 85-90% of the athletes here are qualified for the junior worlds. So this is kind of a little bit of a test for them, a test event to see where they stand, right? To see where they compare to some of the top competitors in the world that they might see at the junior worlds.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting. That whole team is, if you follow them on judotv.com, you can see them compete. They're great fighters and competitors, all 12 of them. I want to wish them all the best. In terms of looking ahead, I mean, the competition starts this Saturday and Sunday, the 27th and the 28th. And obviously the Olympic Games, the competition portion starts also on Saturday for judo. Are you guys obviously you'll be watching those games as well?
It kind of sucks that it's on the same weekend, because we'll do our best. Obviously, I mean, we're in the same time zone, so I think Bouchard and I will be quite occupied at the tournament, so we might not be able to catch all the action. But I believe Sunday is the first day that a Canadian judoka is going to be competing, which is Kelly Deguchi. So we'll definitely try to catch her. But once the tournament's done, we hope that we can sit down as a team and watch our fellow competitors and cheer them on together. So
what will be running through your mind while you're watching the Canadian team compete at the Olympics? Because I mean, you competed at 2 Olympics, you've coached at 2. What overall, what's going to be running through your mind? I'm assuming this is a major moment for any current or former Olympian, right? It happens every 4 years. Yeah. It's a big deal. What kind of give us a list of those thoughts and emotions, if you don't mind?
Well, first off, I'll definitely be quite nervous, right, for them. I mean, I still get nervous watching them, the athletes compete, especially the athletes that I coached one time at the Olympic Games. So, I have a close relationship with them. I have history with them. So seeing some of those athletes compete, yeah, I'm gonna be quite nervous, nail biting and probably coaching in my head at the same time. But I mean, it's going to be exciting. I'm quite confident in all of them. We talk about it amongst ourselves here, amongst the coaches in Judo Canada. We're super excited to watch them fight, because we know they've done everything they could to prepare. They all look good. Now it's just matter of doing it on the day, and like I said, I'll be nervous, but at the same time, I'm excited to watch them fight because I'm super confident in what they can do at the games.
Right on, man. Thank you very much for your time. I know you're jet lagged because you just got to Berlin, but you've been very nice and accommodating this interview. Want to wish you and the team all the best at the Junior European Cup. We'll be watching that obviously, and as well as the Paris 2024 games. Is there any last words you want to share?
Not really. I mean, it's an exciting time. Can't believe that the Olympics are already here because, it's only been a 3-year qualification period compared to the 4-year as it normally is. That's due to COVID and having 1 year less to qualify. But like I said, it just seems like we just were in Tokyo and now we're already in Paris. But man, it's amazing. It's exciting, and there's nothing like the Olympic Games that brings a team together. That's one thing I always find, right? Bringing all the athletes together, watching their training partners compete, and like I said, I hope this games is an inspiration to some of the juniors that are here right now in Berlin. Watching their teammates, their training partners compete on the biggest stage in the world. And like we talked about motivation, and I hope that this, no matter what the outcome is, I just hope that this gives them that extra motivation to one day compete at the Olympics and hopefully stand on that podium. And yeah, let's go Team Canada.
Let's go Team Canada. And like I said, LA 2028 is only under 207 weeks away. So that's the next big one. We wish you all the best, Sasha. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure, man.